Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Make yourself a coffee, get yourself a tea, glass of water, beer, wine, whatever it is that tickles your fancy, because the early morning upload now, the day after a game, is a bit more of a detailed look at the match as a whole. 6 things we learn. I'm in a mad rush to get the video out as soon as possible so that you guys get to hear my immediate reaction in a reactionary manner to the match that we've witnessed. But with this one, we go through player ratings, we go through my overall findings from the game. And I think what that taught us last night, you can argue because Bruno's not going to be the manager for much longer. I do think Chelsea will hire a manager between now and the match against Wolves, at least so maybe the manager can be either in the dugout for that game against Wolves or at least somewhere in the vicinity of the pitch to meet the players before setting out his first team for the game against Real Madrid next Wednesday night. To be quite honest, I got this prediction for this game totally wrong. I thought it was going to be 2 teams who create a lot of chances, but with both sloppy defences. We're going to just score a load of goals, and it was going to be who is the best of the rest, I guess you could say, because in terms of the big clubs in the Premier League, the fall-off or the fallout of Chelsea and Liverpool this season has been astronomical. You've got Liverpool in 8th, you've got Chelsea in 11th, and I think the biggest takeaway for me from this game is that when you look at the quality in the Chelsea team and when you look at the cohesiveness even in this Chelsea team, Chelsea are ahead of Liverpool right now. And I think Liverpool fans should be even more worried potentially right now than Chelsea fans who have sacked 2 managers in 1 season. Tuchel gone, Graham Potter now gone. Yet I do think when you look at the way this game was played tonight, Chelsea fans have got less to worry about than Liverpool. We have spent a lot of money. We have probably now, I don't think there's any possible way, especially after what I saw last night, that any new manager coming into this Chelsea team can do worse than Graham Potter. I genuinely think, even when you watch Bruno's post-match interview, even then we're still giving the same cliches. The players gave everything. They gave everything, but they gave a shocking display in front of goal, which means you don't win football matches. So given everything, after a while, this excuse just becomes invalid. It becomes unnecessary. And to me, to hear it again is jarring. And I don't want to just scrutinise Bruno. He's an interim manager. It was the first match he's ever been the manager for in his life, and it was against a Jurgen Klopp Liverpool team. So, well done to Bruno, to be fair, for not losing the game, keeping a clean sheet, and pretty much nullifying the Liverpool attack through vindicated choices in the defence. The way that Liverpool lined up. The ratings here, I'm obviously going to give my Chelsea player ratings in a moment, but according to SofaScore, Ibrahim Konate was Liverpool's best player, alongside Joe Gomez. I think this goes and shows us the way that this game was balanced. Chelsea had the ball in their final third significantly more than Liverpool had the ball in ours. The fact that somehow the defence line for Liverpool here gets a solid rating is beyond me, because to me it was probably one of the worst defensive performances I've seen from a team in the Premier League at Stamford Bridge this season. Chelsea cut them open, and the finishing qualm that I had in 6 Things We Learn was echoed throughout Chelsea social media. The finishing last night from Chelsea is a criminal offence from Kai Havertz, Joao Felix, Mateo Kovacic in particular. Those 3 players last night, between them we could have had 6 goals quite easily, and nobody would have really been able to question it. Liverpool were at 6s and 7s at the back, and ironically they get ratings of 6s and 7s here, but not the kind of 6s and 7s that I'm relating to here. Chelsea created openings. How do we go about fixing being able to finish? Is it going to be a new manager comes in with an attacking style where the training regime that we've got right now, it's not like Football Manager where, as the manager, you can see day by day what the training is. What is the individual training? Individual training, every single one of these Chelsea players, even the defenders, because quite often they're the furthest forward, everyone needs shooting practice in their individual training regime. Everybody should be staying late after communal sessions are done to just fire balls at the goal, especially the attackers, because it's kind of become a bit of an expectation now that when players get in on goal, they're going to miss. With Kai Havertz, it is alarming to me because every time he gets in on goal, I don't expect him to score. I'm even more surprised when he does. which, considering he is the advanced attacker for Chelsea most of this season, that is a serious problem. And I think if ever it was painstakingly obvious that Chelsea need an attacker, that was a result of what we saw last night. It was shocking. Profligate is the word that we use often. Before I start to absolutely just burst into tears here in this video, talking about the way Chelsea are in front of goal, let's dissect player performances in more detail, and I will finish, because I think it's better for me to go through, look at what the players did, look at the ratings that I've given them. It's better that I go through that before I announce the 5 players that the new manager 110% needs to have in every Chelsea starting lineup moving forward, because we got 5 elite footballers, in my opinion, at this football club. You're going to find out who they are. The first player rating from me is a 6.5 for Kepa. We'll compare it to the rating on SofaScore. SofaScore give him a 7.3. 3 saves in the game, 2 successful run-outs, but for Kepa, there wasn't really much to do. And I think this is a highlight of where this game was, and how, as much as we can't be frustrated too much about a 0-0 and Bruno's first game in charge in a transitional Chelsea period, we probably should be annoyed that we didn't win because of those chances, because Kepa didn't really have much to do. He wasn't really called up that much. There was a long shot from Darwin Núñez, who, again, didn't really get himself heavily involved. Firmino, I thought, was awful for Liverpool. He looked like a player who'd given up on the season, and a player who is leaving in the summer, as we know. I was going to suggest at one point that Chelsea were in for Roberto Firmino as a free agent, but after what we saw last night, absolutely not. We lined up in a 3-5-2, and I think Kepa was well protected from the back line. Doesn't really change anything about my long-term thoughts that Chelsea maybe need to go out there and splash big on a goalkeeper this summer, but 6.5 for Kepa. Moving in to my highest rated player here. Well, it's actually not true. He's the second highest rated player, but Wesley Fofana yesterday was absolutely fantastic. And when we look at his heat map here, he gets up the pitch as well, Wesley Fofana. You often see that number 33 running beyond even Reece James, running beyond Enzo Fernandez, staying up when Chelsea are in attacks from set pieces. And what I really like about Wesley Fofana is everything that he does is done with this arrogant calmness. There's an aura around Wesley Fofana. Even when you see the post-match interview that Chelsea Football Club post-game, he just sounds confident. And I love it. He's got this like little grin on his face whenever he talks, which I absolutely love, with the little French accent, which is fantastic too. Every time I see him, he just looks more and more comfortable in a Chelsea shirt. 8 ground duels, 1 out of a possible 12. 2 aerial duels, 1 out of 3. Lost possession a few times, but he's getting on the ball a lot. And the passing accuracy is fantastic. He keeps the ball. He's intelligent with when he knows when to get forward, when to play the short pass. And a lot of that comes down to midfielder availability between the lines. But phenomenal again from Wesley Fofana. Kalidou Koulibaly gets an 8.1 on SofaScore, the highest rated Chelsea player, but I've given him a 6 because obviously I watched the game in a different way. A lot of the ratings are based on only statistical analysis, not the intangibles. Koulibaly, for me yesterday, pass-wise, pretty good. Again, 81%, not as good as Wesley Fofana. Got on the ball a lot, playing as obviously the central defender. You're going to get on the ball a lot. He won all of his ground duels, the majority of his aerial duels as well, and drew a few fouls, but again, sometimes the quality of the passing wasn't there. He was trying a lot of Rudiger-esque passes yesterday, attempted 9 long balls and only succeeded with 2 of them, which is not the kind of percentile range that we were used to from Rudiger. So when it comes to Koulibaly at the back, I think he's a solid defender. But the more we look into who the next manager's going to be, let's just say again, hypotheticals, it's a Nagelsmann. Chelsea suddenly have a bit more pull power for a Josko Gvardiol, Thiago Silva, getting on. We're not going to have him forever. The more I look at Koulibaly, the more I'm like, yeah, he can be good. Sometimes he's at fault, but good performance against Liverpool. But is he going to be a mainstay for the long term? Or should Chelsea go out there, try and sell him perhaps, and reinvest in a big money mega centre-half like Josko Gvardiol? Many things to discuss here, but Koulibaly was decent. Marc Cucurella, I've given a 6.5 in this game. He was everywhere, and I think in terms of attacking again, defending, I talk about attacking defending when I'm talking about Cucurella. He's on the front foot, he's trying to win the ball early. Not always successful, but it is a defensive style that I like. And I think Marc Cucurella, At the moment, he's just not confident enough. When there were moments he did win the ball, and he's got the opportunity to drive forward at a Liverpool team also void of confidence, and yet he traps the ball under his studs, brings it backwards, and we recycle it again. And I think a lot of what we saw last night on the whole from these Chelsea players was a lot of ability. I'd argue a significant amount more ability than what we saw from the Liverpool players, with a manager who's been in charge for 48 hours before the new head coach comes in. There is so much to look forward to. And I think even Cucurella is one of those players where if he can be consistent just for a few weeks without the negativity surrounding him and the club at the moment, you just know that there's a quality defender in there. Marc Cucurella gets 6.5. Ben Chilwell, I have given a 5 out of 10. He didn't get involved very much. And I think when Liverpool have got Joe Gomez, who's a centre-half playing at right-back, I think a lot of that is down to how Joe Gomez is a significantly better defender than Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Jurgen Klopp set that Liverpool team out, weirdly, to defend a lot last night, which you don't really expect from Liverpool, but I think Klopp realised that Ben Chilwell loves to get forward. He is one of Chelsea's more dominant attackers, let alone being a left-back. I think that was smart from Klopp in the end. I think Joe Gomez nullified a lot of that attacking threat that Ben Chilwell had, and he couldn't really get forward. 90% pass success rate, pretty decent, 40 touches of the ball. It's not enough from a player who has been known recently to be one of Chelsea's more dominant going forward. It's a 5. Reece James gets a 6. He got on the ball a bit more than Ben Chilwell, played the full 90 again, which I think is massive for Reece at the moment. Looked to get forward, but again, I think Liverpool, even Tsimikas, not the best player. He's kind of one of those, like, he's good at everything, but nothing stands out. And then Andy Robertson came on, and by which point, I think the game was done. Chelsea and Liverpool both didn't want to lose come the end of the match. So for Reece, we like to see him getting even in the box a lot more. And from Reece last night, we didn't see that as much. Yes, it is Liverpool, but it was a weak Liverpool. And I think Chelsea didn't utilise the wing-backs last night as much as we normally do, and as much as we normally would, which in a way is a positive because we still managed to create chances from the midfielders, just couldn't bloody finish them. We move into Mateo Kovacic, who I've given a 5.5 here. He was everywhere, as he quite often is in that Chelsea midfield, predominantly on the left side of that midfield with Enzo and Kante next to him. But to miss those 2 chances that he misses, one of which he's rounded the goalkeeper and he's got to put his foot through it, and he allows, I think, Konate to get back and make the block. That's not good enough from Mateo Kovacic. And then the other one where he blazes it over, me and bloody Younes up front could have done significantly more. If me and Younes were Chelsea strikers, right, we would have 3 goals last night and we're celebrating a 3-0 win. That's how poor the finishing was. Kovacic is second in line for the hit here when it comes to criticising Chelsea's finishing. He was everywhere, but he's got to score, and he didn't. So it's a poor rating for Mateo. N'Golo Kante. Now, this bloke captained Chelsea last night, 69 minutes, and was above and beyond the best player on the field during his time on the pitch. 69 minutes is good. When I saw the substitution, I'm thinking, I'd rather this was Mason Mount here, because we didn't really have to be running around like madmen to chase after Liverpool, because we actually were controlling the majority of the game. So I think maybe Mount instead of Gallagher would have been the right substitution to bring on for N'Golo Kante. I didn't even rate Conor Gallagher because 20 minutes is really enough. The game was kind of dwindling down into nothing by this point. But Kante was absolutely everywhere. 92% passes, and then won the majority of his ground duels. Gave the ball away a couple of times, but just everywhere. Again, it's the intangibles with N'Golo Kante that you just cannot fathom how much better Chelsea would be if he wasn't out for 8 months of the season. N'Golo Kante is so key to this Chelsea team, and he is one of those 5 players that I'm going to talk about once the player ratings are done, because even though he's getting older, even though that injury record of his isn't great, it gives whoever comes in at Chelsea a massive boost. To have N'Golo Kante available against the big teams is a class above the rest. We move into Enzo Fernandez, who statistically was Chelsea's best player. He was given the man of the match, attempted 14 long balls, which when we look at the videos I've done in the last few days, talking about vertical passing, potential of Luis Enrique, Nagelsmann, lofted balls over the top for the attackers to drop deep and the forward other players to go above and beyond. Enzo Fernandez is key in this Chelsea team. He's elite, he's world class. Could be the first ever 100 million plus player in the Premier League where no one can even question the price tag. Enzo Fernandez is a Rolls Royce, he's a Ferrari. He is class personified in this Chelsea team. I've given him a 7.5 because I think we need to see the difference. Kante just came back. Yes, Enzo Fernandez hardly gives the ball away. And he's everywhere, but like, it's just so good to see Kante back on the pitch. But those two together in the middle. It's an interesting one because Kovacic on his day can be such a good player. He gets on the ball a lot. He does a lot of work for the team. Press resistant, as we've heard all season long. But I just think Mateo Kovacic, when you look at what Kante can do when he's fit, signing a number 6 this summer is very important for Chelsea, regardless of Kante and Enzo's partnership that they build. But I think if Kante can stay fit, it does open the door for Kovacic to leave. I really do think it does, especially if Chelsea are buying that other midfielder, because between Enzo and N'Golo Kante, there is just so much brilliance in this Chelsea team. We move into Kai Havertz, who I've given a 4 out of 10. In my head, when I'm looking at the chances that he had, to me, they're 4 big chances. I think Kai Havertz could score quite easily. All 4 opportunities that he just doesn't score. When you look at the heat map, he's kind of all over the place, but he's supposed to be the most furthest forward. Passing accuracy 77%, not good enough. Ground duels 1, less than half. Aerial duels 1, less than half, and gave the ball away 14 times. Kai Havertz yesterday was so poor. We're never going to be able to see consistency. Kai Havertz has got a lot of work to do in this Chelsea team because it isn't good enough. And the finishing is embarrassing. My girlfriend could have done better. She just walked in the door. My 2 cats who were chilling on the bed, they could have finished that one. They could have accidentally dribbled it around Alisson and into the back of the net. And I've now been bought a coffee. Isn't she a star? Told you lot to get one before, midway through the video. Now I've gone and got myself one. We move into Joao Felix. This player, I'm doing a video on Joao Felix because I have never known what to say more than with this guy. In any footballing sense, I have never been so lost for words as to how to rate a Chelsea player, because to the naked eye, he is probably one of the most exciting players to watch in the Premier League. If Joao Felix plays for Arsenal, Liverpool or Man City, we're talking about a top 3 player in the league. I genuinely believe that. In this Chelsea team where we cannot finish, Joao Felix has caught this illness off of the rest of the players who have been like this for a long time. On the ball, when it comes to dribbling, the cat wants to get involved here. Here she is. She's absolutely beautiful, this is. Mwah. Little Cleo, her name is. Joao Felix, when he's dribbling, he takes on more players than I think even he knows he takes on. And I think it gets to a point where he dribbles so good that he gets kind of lost and transfixed by the dribble as if he's on some kind of mushroom trip, and then don't know how to score at the end of it. It's too much to process in the brain. Release it early. Have a pop shot early, Joao. I think you're such a good player. I give him a 6.5 because he tries to make stuff happen, and if he can just get a bit of confidence with the finishing, and if the players around him could be a bit more on his wavelength in terms of the intelligence when he's on the ball around the box, then Chelsea have got some player on their hands. I'm going to save the rest for a video because I could talk about this guy all day long. Bruno, I've given a 7 because to not lose to Jurgen Klopp in your first ever game as a senior manager of a football club, well done, mate. Congratulations. But it was so much like what we saw under Graham Potter. It was basically as if Graham Potter was there on the sidelines. You might as well have given Graham until now and then fired him before, but just be like, look, Graham, we know it's not work, mate, but we know that your man Bruno is going to do what you tell him to do. Whatever ways you're so set in, all of your staff are following you, which means you're a good manager because you've got people working alongside you who back you. But it just don't work here at Chelsea, mate. And for Bruno, again yesterday, I think at one point I was like, does this guy know he can make substitutions? You're the man now, Bruno. It's all up to you. And it just didn't happen for 69 minutes when it could have done. You know, Mudryk is there Put Mudryk out on that left wing against Joe Gomez, who's not a right back. Chelsea managers need to understand, sometimes in game, it's less about following the statistics. This is some key point I want to make here. I think this new data-driven approach at Chelsea, we're even seeing it in games in terms of the substitutions to try and combat specific things. Whatever they're looking at on the screens, the managers and the staff, I think a lot of it is so data-driven that sometimes you've just got to think outside the box. We've got the fastest player in the Premier League against a makeshift right back. Make it happen. Put them up against one another. Not everything's got to be about bloody data. Do you know what I mean? Let me have a little swig of my coffee before I give you the 5 players that I think are standouts. 2 of them weren't brilliant last night, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, but that has been a staple in everything I've preached about Chelsea in recent weeks. The other 3 players are N'Golo Kante, Enzo Fernandez and Wesley Fofana. These are the 5 best players right now at Chelsea Football Club, without a shadow of a doubt. These 5 players, if they're fit and healthy, need to play every single game. N'Golo Kante is making us remember that class is permanent. You can be injured for 8 months, but to come back against a Liverpool team who, okay, maybe we didn't see the heavy gegenpress of Jurgen Klopp last night that we're used to, but he ran the show. Enzo Fernandez does not put a foot wrong. Every time he steps out on the pitch is a Rolls Royce, young World Cup winner. Chelsea's future is very bright, you know. It really is. And the more I look back on this game last night, if you look at the highlights video, we are all over them. How have we not won 5-0? It's madness. Whoever the new manager's going to be, you're going to find out first here on GBFC. We've got so much more to talk about. Watch the 6 things we learned, the reactionary video, link in the description, and we've got more content for you later on today. Don't you worry. We've got Wolves at the weekend. That's bloody 3 days away already. It's the busiest month of our lives on GBFC. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy the content. And I'm going to go finish my coffee and work on the next vid for you. Come on, you Blues.